Cool. Awesome. So I'm going to share screen. I'm going to cover a lot of information, but before I get started, if anyone would like to share, either unmute yourself or put it in the chat, what transfer questions you all have, or what have you heard about the transfer process? How do you feel about the transfer process? Where are you in your transfer journey? How do you identify? If you can also introduce yourselves, what are your majors? What term are you in? Maybe what have you heard about UCLA? What are your thoughts and feelings about institutions like UCLA? So you can unmute yourself or you can put it in the chat. Yes.
Hello, Miss. What's it called? So it's my first semester at ELAC, and I came straight out of high school, and I've always wanted to go to USC, but since I came to ELAC, I've been leaning towards UCLA more. And what would you say is a good GPA at ELAC to get accepted to UCLA? Like for you to have a good chance to get accepted to UCLA?
Great question. And I'll go into that in this presentation. So hold on tight to that one. Anyone else want to share out what your majors are? You can put them in the chat just so that I know kind of like where you're at in your transfer journey, first semester, second semester, fifth, third year, whatever it is, that kind of helps me know where you're at. Some bio majors, awesome. First semester. Some engineers in the house, some psychologists. Hello? Yes.
Sorry, I'm driving, so I can't text, but I'm a nursing major. This is my my second year, and I'm gonna be applying to nursing schools next year. Sorry if you could hear this. I'm gonna be applying to nursing school next year in spring. And I really like UCLA. I've always wanted to go. My history teacher at Roosevelt High School always told me how great it was. We actually got to visit the campus, so I would love to go there, and I've heard they have great food too. So
awesome. And actually this morning, the Transfer Center had a workshop for students interested in nursing. So definitely check out the Transfer Center. And we also are, planning things to hopefully get you back on the campus once it's safe. So thank you all for sharing some econ majors, business, linguistics. Okay, awesome. So again, I'm going to cover a lot of content. If at any time anything is confusing, please stop me, put it in the chat. I want to make sure that you get the information and the support that you need. And after this, you feel a little bit more confident and comfortable in terms of the transfer process. Okay, so again, I'm going to cover mostly the UCs, but again, we're going to support you in whatever your transfer goals are. And I'm going to talk about CCP and the Center for Community College Partnerships. I'm going to skip our video, but I will post that in the chat later so you can check it out. But I do want to begin with kind of centralizing the work that we do at CCP and why we do it. So this is the U.S. educational pipeline from census data in 2010. So it's a few years back, but it's still, relevant. And so when we look at educational attainment and educational achievement for different student demographic groups, we see that there's gaps, right? There's achievement gaps. There's equity gaps. There's things that are impacting students in their educational journey, high school, post-high school, post-secondary education. So right now, all of you are at ELAC, at a community college, doing your college work, with the hopes and the aspirations to transfer. And so when we look at transfer rates, when we look at attainment of bachelor degrees from students, particularly those that begin their journey at the community college, we know that there's a lot of work to be done. Numbers are still pretty low, but I don't want this to be a discouragement. This is really what motivates us in the work that we do and why we're so passionate about working with students and supporting students and helping you achieve your transfer goals. So although we're out of UCLA and we're most familiar with the UCs, we support students in whatever your journey is, wherever you decide that you want to transfer to. Our goal with the collaboration that we have with ELAC is to support all ELAC students achieve their transfer goals. So today we will be covering more UC stuff, UCLA stuff, but again, I'll leave you with resources and contact information on how to support, connect with us and get the resources that you need. And so again, when we look at specifically first-time college students in California, we know that the majority, and this is for Latinos specifically, but it applies to other students of color and applies to other students that maybe like low income or come from other like under-resourced communities. We know that most students that do begin higher education do so via the community college. And from those students that have identified transfer as their goal while at the community college, we know that, again, transfer rates are not as high as they should be. And furthermore, those that do transfer, we know that most students are transferring to the Cal State, which is great, it's awesome. But again, the goal of CCP is to make sure that you know what it takes to go to a UC, see the UCs as an option for yourself, understand what the resources are, understand what the whole transfer process is like for a UC. And at the end of the day, you decide, you choose which institution, which major, which campus is the best fit for you. And I also like showing this data. So this is from ELAC specifically. And so we look at the numbers at ELAC and we have increased. So that, makes us very happy. There's been a lot of effort and a lot of resources placed on transfer. So numbers at ELAC in terms of transfer and roles have increased throughout the years. And this is just kind of a snapshot. If we look back at the year 2000, I know that seems like a lifetime ago. There was about 91 students from ELAC transferring to a UC campus. And then if we fast forward 10 years, that number went up to 197 transferring to a UC campus. And then furthermore, you can see which campuses ELAC students have been enrolling at. 2017, ELAC jumped up, right? 323 ELAC Huskies now enrolled at different UC campuses. That year, we got outdone by our sister campus, UC Irvine, with UCLA coming in close as a second choice for students. 2019, again, Irvine has been a great choice for ELAC students. And this last year, UCLA came back number one. So 2020, last year, there was 317 ELAC students that enrolled at a UC campus. And I say enrolled because the number of students that applied are much greater, the number of students that got admitted, but again, ultimately it's your choice as to what institution you want to attend. Our goal is to just get you to apply, right? Because if you don't apply, you won't be admitted, you won't get in. But again, students are really deciding which institutions are best for yourself. So a little bit about what is the UC, right? So there's 9 undergraduate campuses. It's one of the 4 segments of higher education, right? So we have community colleges, we have Cal States, we have the UCs, and we have private institutions. And one of our missions, right? We have fundamental missions, which is like teaching, research, which is big for the UCs, and public service. And so if you are interested in research, which is creating new knowledge, which is, taking a deep dive into a question that you have about the world, about society, about anything like that, then, you might want to consider a UC. So, research can mean very many different things, and you can do research in any field. Okay. And again, this is an overview. So in a general overview of sorry, I need to respond to something because, one moment. Okay, sorry about that. So again, general transfer eligibility requirements, you want to have at least 60 UC transferable units. If you're only applying to Cal States, then those could be 60 Cal State units, but for the UCs, you want at least 60. System-wide, the minimum GPA is a 2.4. However, for UCLA, the recommended GPA is a 3.2. GPA is a tricky question. It already came up, right? But your GPA really depends on the major you're seeking, how selective that major is, and the campuses you're applying to, and how selective those campuses are, right? So admissions at the transfer level is all about the major, right? So right now at ELAC, you're doing freshman and sophomore year level work. Everything you're doing at ELAC is part of your bachelor's degree, right? And so right now, if you're following IGETC, you're covering your general education courses. For those engineers, you're focusing on your major prep and you're doing the minimum eligibility requirements. But you're taking care of those freshman and sophomore years. So once you apply for transfer, you're applying as a junior, you're incoming as a junior level student, and you will be focusing on the upper division work for that particular major. Upper division means, courses that are only offered to juniors and seniors and that are part of the requirement to complete that degree at that institution. And so again, it just really comes down to what major you're seeking, how selective that major is, what institutions you're interested in, and how selective those institutions are. There is a 7-course pattern that's like the minimum eligibility requirements. So for that, it's the 2 English courses, 1 transferable level math course, and then 4 selective courses from different subject areas, right? So hopefully, I know y'all have amazing counselors at EOPS, that you're connecting with them, that you're updating your ed plan, that you know exactly what it is that you need to do to transfer, and then to also complete all the other goals that you might have while at ELAC, right? So that might include AAs, that might include other things. So definitely make sure that you're connecting with your counselors. Major prep. So major prep, again, is super important. As a transfer student, you will be admitted based on majors. So major prep becomes kind of key. So all of you should be familiar with assist.org. If you're not familiar with assist.org, definitely write that down and make sure that you spend some time with that website, that you kind of check out different options for yourself. There's lots of different tools available through assist.org. One of the biggest tools that students utilize is being able to know exactly what courses you need to be taking at ELAC in order to transfer to a Cal State or a UC within that particular major, right? And if you need support in navigating that, if you have any questions about that, again, make sure that you reach out either to myself, someone from my team, or again, your advisors and counselors at EOPS. In terms of admissions, right? So there is a comprehensive review for the UCs. So first and foremost, it's your academic accomplishments, right? So first and foremost, they're gonna look at what courses you've taken, how you've performed in those courses. Have you taken major prep courses, eligibility courses, things like that. In addition, you will also, and this is all part of the UC application, you have opportunity to share other information about yourself, right? So personal achievements or personal challenges. How else are you spending your time while at the community college? Are you employed? Do you have family responsibilities? Are you involved on campus? Are you involved off campus? Any other special talents and skills? And then also, again, as part of like the personal insight questions that are part of the UC application, you have an opportunity to really share your narrative, tell the universities a little bit more about yourself. I always refer to it as, what's the story of the transcript? We are all much more than those metrics, right? We're all much more and live much more complex lives than the courses you took and the grade that you got. So tell that story. What is that narrative? What is, what were some challenges? What are some things you've taken advantage of? What has helped you develop into the person that you are? As like an individual, as a scholar, as an academic, what you're interested in, what are your passions, what are your goals? And it seems like most of you are all still like on the early stages of your transfer journey. But once you do get closer to the application and PIQ time, make sure that you reach out for support. And it's also important to know what's expected and what you need to do in order to transfer. I always say the earlier the better, because you're able to work towards some of these things as you're going through your time at ELAC, right? So if you already know that when you apply, you're gonna have to maybe talk about volunteerism or leadership, you might wanna start seeking out some of those opportunities, right? So it's never too early to really start thinking about transfer, because guess what? You're already on your transfer journey. And so we're here to support you in that. So overall timeline, again, transfer process takes about a year. So you apply a year in advance. For most UCs, it's fall admit only. So some institutions may do admissions at different terms. So either their winter or their spring, and all of that has different timelines. So again, you want to make sure that you connect with the transfer center. You want to make sure you connect with university representatives, that you know exactly what timeline you're following and what's best for you. But for the most part, UCs admit students in the fall, right? So for full admit, the application opens up in August 1st. You submit November 1st through the 30th. In January, you have to go back and you have to update fall term grades and any changes that may have happened to your schedule. This is one of those deal breakers. If you do not do the update, your application will not proceed in the review process. So super important. Admission notifications usually come out like starting in March in a rolling basis through April. If you're applying to UCLA or UC Berkeley, it's always like late April, like late April. So don't panic, it's okay. It's just because they get so many applications that it just takes them a little longer to go through that process. And then once you get all your admission notices, you have until June 1st for the UCs to select the institution you're going to attend. Other institutions have different deadlines. So if you're applying to Cal States, that deadline is sooner, it's May 1st. If you're applying to privates, it depends on that institution. So again, these are all things that you want to make sure that you are well aware depending on your particular situation and where you're applying to. All right. So these are the highly selective majors at UCLA. If you see your major on the screen, then that means that you are considering a highly selective major. And so again, I don't share information to scare folks. I just want to be transparent about what it looks like and what it is and what are the actual numbers, right? So psychology at UCLA is our most applied to major. And then business econ, soc, poli-sci, it's like the same majors, right? Anything that's within the specialty school, those are also highly selective. Those are smaller schools within the campus. They admit a smaller amount of students. And so the way I like to explain it, it's like thinking about trying to get into the Staples Center, right? And everyone's trying to use the same 5 doors. Like there's other doors, there's other majors, right? There's other ways. So ideally you would choose the major you're really passionate about, and the school that you really want to attend, right? Ideally, ideal world, the major you love, campus you love. However, sometimes we may need to have a conversation about what is more important to you, that specific major or that specific campus. And you may need to have those sometimes difficult conversations about where's the wiggle room, what are other options, right? And either consider additional campuses or either consider alternate majors. So again, at UCLA, we have over 120 majors, 120. It's like 120 doors. Everyone wants to come in through the same 10, right? So again, I invite you to have these conversations with myself, someone from my team, an admissions rep, because there's other options. The other thing I want to note is that your major does not dictate your career, right? And that's a workshop that we're actually planning on doing for y'all in the fall. So stay tuned, because there's other options, and depending on your career, you don't always need a specific major to get you there. Again, there's different doors. These are some of the other doors we're talking about. So for sociology, you might want to explore gender studies and ethnic studies, such as Chicano. Philosophy majors. For our biologists in the room, again, we support you with what your choices are, but again, you want to explore and just know all your options. You might want to consider Anthro-BS, that's a bachelor's in science. You might want to consider MCDB, molecular cell and developmental biology. For communications, you might want to consider linguistics. Again, these are all things that you can explore, and just kind of check them out, see what they're like, and maybe you'll find something else that you're really interested in. Again, this is a tool. So this actually does all the numbers, the breakdown, all the majors, how many people apply to that major, how many people were admitted from that major, what the percentile of GPA ranges were. Again, UCLA is a highly selective institution. So basically any major is going to be more selective on our campus. And then within that, there are particular majors that are super selective, right? That's, again, I just want to be transparent. So the more selective the major is, the more competitive of an applicant want to be, right? And to become a competitive applicant, it comes down to strong GPA, strong academic performance, and making sure that you have as much major prep, if not all the major prep completed, that you've done really well within that major prep, and that you've met all the other eligibility requirements, right? And so that's something that is achievable. Like you can do that, right? That just means that you need to really utilize your resources. Make sure you're meeting with counselors, make sure you're meeting with university reps, make sure that you're going to like writing labs and learning centers and office hours and all those other things that are available to you as students. Those are all meant to make you successful. They're all meant to help you succeed and thrive while at ELAC. So super important. A little bit about specialty schools. So specialty schools do have a little bit of a different process. Some of these may have supplemental applications. So if anyone is interested, particularly in like arts and architecture, they're really open with supporting students through that process and supporting students through the supplemental app. So if you do know anyone that's currently going to apply, please connect them our way, because we're working with the School of Arts and Architecture to provide extra support for community college students. Additionally, all the other schools are really transfer friendly. They want transfer students to apply. So my recommendation is make sure that you connect with the specialty school directly, because they have their own admissions officers and they're really the best resource to support you in applying to that particular school, right? So nursing, make sure that you connect with folks at the School of Nursing. And I can connect you. I know these folks, I have their contact info. If you want me to connect you, send me an email and I'll be glad to introduce you that way. I also want to introduce some new majors at UCLA. So super exciting stuff. So we now have an education and social transformation major out of the school, the Graduate School of Education Information Studies, which is like one of the top ranked education programs in the nation. Minimum GPA is a 3.2. There is no specific major prep courses, but they do recommend that you complete IGETC. So again, it's a new major. It's been a long-standing minor in our campus, but definitely check it out if that's something that you're interested in. And then also public affairs is a newer major, not super new, but a couple years old. And the minimum GPA for that one is also a 3.2. They do have major prep courses, so definitely check those out. And again, they recommend IGETC as well. Transfer guide. So if you're able to scan this QR code, in a couple more slides, I'll give you another handout that has all the things. But this is something that you want to make sure you have. This goes down all the eligibility requirements, information about the campus, all the different majors. It gives you general information about each particular major. It gives you general information about courses. And again, to find the specific courses for your campus, you want to go to Assist or Transferology. But this is really the best tool in terms of everything you need to know to be admitted as a transfer student to UCLA. So definitely make sure that you bookmark this, that you spend some time with it, because it has a lot of great information. The other program I want to highlight is the UCLA Transfer Alliance program. So there is no guaranteed admissions to UCLA. However, kind of the closest thing we might, it's not even close, but one of the options you do have is the Transfer Alliance program. So I don't know how many of you are in the honors program at ELAC, but if you're not and you're interested, I highly encourage you to enroll at the honors program and connect with an honors counselor. So if you do the honors program at ELAC and get certified so that you complete all the requirements for honors, then you will get the benefits of being a TAP student at UCLA, which means that when you get ready to apply to UCLA, you can enter your first choice major, and then you'll have an opportunity to list and be reviewed for an alternate choice major. So if your first choice major is bio, right, you can list that as your first choice major, and then your alternate major can be like Anthro BS, right? And so there are some limitations. Your alternate major cannot be one of those highly selective majors. So going back to the majors that were listed on that screen. So it cannot be highly selective. And you also want to make sure that you have major prep completed for that alternate major. A couple of other benefits is that you'll have access to UCLA libraries as a TAPS honor student. I was an honor student while at community college, and just academically, it really prepared me for the UCs. So that really helped me just prepare academically. So once I transitioned to UCLA, it wasn't as big of a transfer shock in terms of the academics, like the extra writing paper, the analysis, the critical thinking, like those are all skills that are developed through your honor program. In addition to opportunities such as research and research conferences, and just networking and working more closely with faculty. So again, highly encourage it. Please check it out. Ask your counselor about it if you have any more questions on how to exactly to enroll in the honors program at ELAC. And then another resource that I encourage all of you to take advantage of is the transfer planner. So transfer admission planner. Transfer planner, you create an account, you enter all your courses, all your grades, and it helps keep track of your transfer readiness for the UCs. So it'll tell you what your UC units are, what your UC GPA is, And then it also has other functions. You're able to communicate with universities, and universities will communicate with you. And some universities are super active with the planner. We also utilize it at CCP as outreach. So if you have an account, you may have gotten an email from us about joining. And also you are able to apply for TAG, the transfer admission guarantee, through the planner. And I think, yeah, that's the next slide. So as I said, there's no guarantee for UCLA. However, there is a guaranteed program with our other campuses. So through TAG, you're able to have a guaranteed admissions to one of 6 campuses, which are Davis, Irvine, Merced, Riverside, Santa Barbara, or Santa Cruz, right? So the ones that do not participate in TAG are Berkeley, UCLA, and UC San Diego. However, this is a really great opportunity. So there are certain requirements. If you go to the TAG website, there's a matrix and it tells you exactly what majors qualify for TAG at that campus. And then it tells you what the eligibility requirements are. And so if anyone is currently applying, it seems like most of you are not, but if you are, again, this is due September 30th. So you submit your TAG the September of that fall term that you're applying. So if you're submitting your UC application this November, if you want to do TAG, you have to do this in September. In order for TAG to be valid, you want to make sure that the major you listed on the TAG is the same as the major you're applying to that institution. And again, there's other like limitations around it, but definitely think about this, make sure that you do it. I highly encourage it. And you get a guaranteed admissions to a UC campus. So this is a live doc that we're utilizing. So tinyurl.com/UC transfer links. This is something that I work on. So there are a couple links that I need to update, but this has a lot of the major links that you'll need. So assist, UCLA stuff, UC stuff, CCP stuff. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for a lot of the different links that you'll kind of need as a resource. So make sure to scan it or note it down, take a picture, come back to it later. Great. So one thing I also wanted to make sure that I mentioned was attendance. Because when I talk to a lot of students and I ask, like, you know, what are their thoughts about the UCs? What are their thoughts about UCLA? And have they considered it? A lot of it comes down to financial concerns, right? And I completely resonate with that, because when I told my parents that I was gonna go to UCLA, they're like, okay, cool. And like, ¿cuánto cuesta? Like, how much is that? You know, and then you look at like cost of attendance, you're like, oh, $24,000 a year, you know? They're like, what? Estás loca, you're crazy. Like, we don't have that kind of money. What are you thinking? Like, right, insert panic. But let's not panic, right? Let's look at resources, let's look at information, let's break this down. Okay, so all of you are currently attending ELAC. Did y'all know, because sometimes students don't know, there's a cost of attendance associated with attending ELAC. So if you look at the cost of attendance for ELAC, it's almost $15,000, right? This is the sticker price. How many of y'all, and you don't have to share, right? But just think about it. How many of you are currently coming out of pocket $15,000 to come to ELAC, right? So when you look at budgets and when you look at cost of attendance, it's the sticker price, right? And there's resources, there's programs, there's support, there's things that really break that down. So you're not coming out of pocket with what the sticker price is, right? If you look at Cal State LA, right? The sticker price for Cal State LA, if you're on campus, it's about $28,000. If you're off campus, I don't know why it says 28,000 too, but you know, you're looking at least around 20,000 for attending Cal State LA, right? And UCLA, again, for residents, this has now gone up. We're looking at about 36,000 a year for off-campus apartments or residence halls and living with relatives. So when you look at budgets, again, don't let this scare you and don't let this stop you from even applying, right? First and foremost, you want to look at tuition and fees, right? Because that's just you being able to enroll and go to class, take care of that. When you break this down, you see that includes a number of other factors, room and meals, right? So housing, we know housing is expensive and we know housing is, you know, a serious issue in LA. But there's ways to mitigate that cost. You know, there's ways to, you know, either you live at home, a lot of students, particularly ELAC students, live at home and commute to campus, or if you move closer to, like, let's say Westwood, you pick up a couple extra roommates, things like that. Books and supplies, a lot of students, and they'll tell you they really are not paying $1,400 in books and supplies. A lot of professors will just upload PDFs. You may have to print sometimes, you know, but get yourself an iPad or a reader or something, and there's ways to mitigate that cost as well, right? Transportation, that is something to consider, right? If you are commuting, definitely take into account transportation costs. Are you going to be driving? Are you going to be taking public transit? And I also encourage students to consider time and energy, right? Like 2 hours on the 10 and the 405, like, is, you know, not the business. But you might have to do that, right? So again, everyone's different, everyone's situation is different. It also includes personal costs and health insurance. So everyone is required to have insurance, either your own personal insurance or through the university. But again, there's ways to kind of mitigate these costs. The good thing about the UCs, so even though the UCs might have a bigger sticker price, and the way I explained it to my mom was like, yeah, it's more expensive, but there's coupons. She loves going to Macy's because there's like 1-day sales like every day, right? There's coupons, there's discounts, there's opportunities for you to get resources and funding to help cover those costs, right? So UC system-wide, there's the Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan. So you, if you're independent, or your family, if you're still considered dependent, if it's your income is less than $80,000, your fees and tuition will be covered by free money, by grants. So that's those 13 something off the bat, right, that are going to be covered. And this is UC system wide. So any UC campus that you apply to, this will cover you. You don't have to do anything extra. The only thing you have to do is make sure that you submit your FAFSA or your California DREAM Act application by March 2nd. So make sure that you do it before that priority deadline, and this will automatically kick in, right? If anyone has been at the community college for a long time and utilizing financial aid, then I would encourage you to connect with your financial aid office and just make sure that you are not maxing out your eligibility for financial aid, particularly like federal aid. But if you're only going to be at ELAC for a couple semesters, usually you're fine. But again, connect with your financial aid office and make sure that you understand that process as well. Also, shout out on the screen, those two folks are my sisters. So as I mentioned, I'm the first in my family to go to college, first gen. And then, you know, my sisters were able to also go to UCLA after that. So if you're also the first one in your family to go to college, just know that you're a trailblazer, you're paving the way, and you're opening doors and opportunities and potential realities for folks behind you. So that might either be your siblings or your family members, community members. So definitely you're not alone in that sense. Another thing I like to share with students is this slide, right? So at the bottom, if you look at income levels, right, that's the income ranges. And if you look at estimated costs and you look at contribution, there's support for students, and there's a lot of support if you qualify, right? So again, students are really concerned about cost, but just know that if your income level is, not as high, then know that there is support, and there's more support for students that have more need. So everyone across the board is expected to contribute to their own education. So that's why you see the 10,000 across the board for student contribution. You will often see that in your financial study. So everyone's expected to contribute to their own education. However, if you looked at the amount of gift aid, the lower your income, the more gift aid you're eligible for, right? So hopefully this kind of also helps ease some of those concerns, because I know that this is a conversation I've had with a lot of students where transferring to a UC, they can't even fathom that as a reality because of the cost. So again, at this point, don't let that stop you from even applying. Don't let that stop you from trying or pursuing. On your end, focus on your academics, focus on what you need to do to get yourself academically prepared. And at the end of the day, I feel like things will fall into place, right? And you're able to, once you get admitted, part of that admissions letter also includes a provisional financial aid offer, right? So you're able to kind of see what folks are offering you to at their campus. And at that point, again, seek support, talk to advisors, counselors to really figure out what's the best option for you. Another note is, again, each campus is very different and may have specific admissions criteria. So whichever campus you're interested in, Cal State's, UC's, privates, make sure that you are familiar with that particular campus. At ELAC, through the Transfer Center, there's university reps that visit and make time. I think they're doing everything remotely right now, but you can make an appointment with a rep from a campus. And if there is a school that maybe doesn't have a rep that's visiting, you can definitely reach out to them and connect with them. So just make sure that you, again, are aware and know exactly what you need to do to be a competitive applicant to that particular campus. Okay. So transition to CCP, right? So I gave you a lot of information. I might have overwhelmed you, confused you, all the different things, but we're here as a support, we're here as a resource, and we can help you figure this out. You're not alone. So this is the link to our website, ccp.ucla.edu. For the time being, we're still working virtually and remotely. And I'll share with you the kind of the best way to reach us and how we can connect so that we can support you. One of the first slides I started off with was the educational pipeline. And so for us, we are grounded in critical race theory, right? So we acknowledge and centralize race and ethnicity and how that impacts students' educational experience, how they experience their educational journey. And we acknowledge that there's achievement and equity gaps. And our goal is to really support students. We work with all students, but we acknowledge that as an institution, we need to provide support to particular populations. We also utilize experiential knowledge, and I'll talk about our peer advisors in a moment, but we value your experiences, we value your life stories, your life journeys, and we see that as an asset to the institution, as an asset to your journey. And we acknowledge the different intersectionalities that students bring to the classroom and to academia. Another foundational framework that we utilize within CCP is community cultural wealth. And this is something that you'll definitely hear me talk about, particularly around the personal insight questions and as you're reflecting about who you are and your journey and what's important to you and the assets that you bring. We come from wealth, right? We have navigational wealth, which is, even kind of being here today, right? You're getting information, you're getting resources, you're trying to kind of navigate society, navigate higher education, navigate the community college, all those things. Aspirational. Our students have high aspirations of success. You know, you want to become an engineer, you want to become a doctor, a psychologist, a nurse. Those are amazing aspirations. And those are key things that kind of keep you moving forward. Familial, right? For us in our communities, family is really important. And so making space for our families, particularly within our educational journeys, is not something that you see very often, right? And I'm very proud of the work that we've been doing at ELAC. So we've, in the past, in person, we had the ELAC Family Transfer Conference, right? Acknowledging that a lot of our students are first gen. A lot of our students come from families where, you know, folks may not have pursued higher education or the transfer journey. And how do we make space at different institutions for our families, acknowledging that those are important people in our lives and that help us decide options, right, for transfer. Super important. And then there's other factors, and I will share a link if you're interested in learning more and reading the actual article about community cultural wealth, but it's definitely something that really grounds us in the work that we do at CCP. So the goal of CCP, and we do this through our Scholars Program, is to motivate, inform, and prepare students to transfer from community colleges to selective institutions such as UCLA. And we say that because we know that if we can prepare you for selective majors, selective campuses, then that's your passport. You know, the world is your oyster and you have tons of options. And again, the end of the day is making sure that students are informed and that you're making the choices that are best for yourself. So UCLA may not be your top campus, right? That's okay. We may not offer what what you need in order to pursue your career goals or whatever your goals are. And that's fine, right? We're here to support you in achieving whichever goals you have set for yourself. Or to also motivate you, right? Like maybe you have a certain goals, but once you get information and get connected, maybe you get motivated to pursue things that you maybe never thought you could pursue, right? So we can have those conversations as well. So through our peer advising and through our workshops, again, we hope to motivate you, to encourage you. Sometimes the transfer journey can, you know, be very daunting and challenging and overwhelming, but we really try to build a community of scholars and a community of support. And again, our end goal is to really just prepare you for success, prepare you for academic success, prepare you for long-term success, and also to help you enrich and develop yourself personally as well, right? So a lot of our scholars end up becoming leaders on their campus, leaders within their community, advocates, things of that sort. And a little bit more about our population. We work with all students, but really acknowledging and being intentional about working with students that maybe are non-traditional, maybe are returning to campus, maybe come from underserved, under-resourced communities, communities that have been historically marginalized. Maybe the first ones in your family go to college. Either you are just entering community college, you just recently graduated high school, or maybe you've been at the community college for a while, but we're here to really support you wherever you are in your transfer journey and get you to where you want to go. So a little bit about our requirements. We ask for a year commitment. So we want to be friends with you and support you for at least a year. You're welcome to always join and be part of CCP for as long as you're at the community college. Attend at least one event, and I'll make a special announcement about that in a little bit. For this academic year, because we're still pretty much remote with some opportunities for in-person, we want to make sure that you connect with us at least once a quarter through either a CCP event, a CCP co-sponsored event. So anything that really helps support you in your academic journey. that will count as an event. We ask that you make at least one contact with the peer advisor each quarter. So for us, we are in the quarter system. So our quarter is actually starting tomorrow for fall. So I know y'all are well into your fall semester. For us, we just finished our summer sessions. So we're in a different timeline, but again, we're here to support you. We ask that you also apply for at least one scholarship, that you maintain enrollment at the community college, or if for some reason you need to kind of step back, just communicate with us and let us know. That you maintain the contact info so that we can, we have the most updated information. Report academic and transfer process through the UC TAP. We'll do a survey at the beginning of the program and then at the end. And then if you're admitted to UCLA or any UC institution, we ask that you get involved in issues and events and programming that is transfer student related. I'm gonna skip that one. So right now, we currently are actually still accepting applications to join CCP. We're doing this through what we're calling our Site Light programs. So Site Light this year has a different definition that maybe if you were familiar with CCP in the past, but for this year, Site Light means that you're doing any workshop, activity, or event that is CCP sponsored or co-sponsored, and that will get you admitted into CCP. And so I'm counting today's workshop as a Site Light. So if anyone is interested in joining Site Light and joining CCP this academic year, I will count your attendance and participation here today as that program requirement. So all you'll need to do is submit your application for CCP and create a UC TAP account. And so I'll go into what that looks like. So this is our scholars application. So again, if you are interested in joining CCP, there's still an opportunity to do that. You go to our website and you click on scholars application to join. I will take you to the actual application. So for the program, you'll select Site Light. For the date, you'll select just the August 15th through August 31st. So it's basically the fall term. If you have not had any engagement with CCP, you will select none as the program you previously participated in. However, once you enter your birthday and your phone number, a social if you have one, or you can leave it blank. If it does prompt you profile ID, it means that we might have had contact in the past and you might be in our system somewhere. So if that happens, just send us an email and we'll go ahead and respond with your profile ID question. So again, this is currently open. It's open until capacity is reached. At this point, there's still space for ELAC students to join CCP. And again, I'm counting today's session as a program. So do the application and then do the TAP account. For now, you can just go ahead and create it. And this is something that your peer advisor, once you're assigned a peer advisor, will follow up with you on and make sure that you actually enter all your courses and all your grades. If you've attended any other institution, you want to make sure that you list that. If you've done concurrent enrollment, maybe while in high school, you want to make sure that you list that. Anything that appears on a transcript, you want to make sure that it's on the tab. Again, you will also be asked to enter anything that's on a transcript once you apply to universities. So it's super important that all that information is accurate and that it's there. A little bit about CCP at ELAC. So this year we will be having 5 peer advisors as part of our team. Again, we are just starting our fall term tomorrow. So it'll take us another week or two to fully onboard our new peer advisors. Some of the things that we offer for ELAC students is drop-in student hours. So we'll be hosting virtual student info sessions, info hours. Those you don't need an appointment. You can just kind of drop in. We'll be posting and sharing out the Zoom information for that. Those are just, if you're able to come by, if you need support, if you want to talk about majors, campuses, if you need help with the tap, if you need help with tap, like literally anything that you need, just come to our drop-in hours. Imagine that we would just be in the transfer center and that you would just kind of walk into the transfer center with transfer questions. It's that vibe, but on Zoom. So please stop by. Or you can also schedule an appointment directly. So this year we will be scheduling our advising appointments through the transfer center or by email. So you can always email us directly and set an appointment with us one-on-one, or schedule it through the transfer center or come into drop-in hours. So we're really trying to make ourselves accessible for students. So although we may not physically be on the ELAC campus, there's various ways to get in contact with us to still seek out the support that you need. We'll also be, again, putting together a series of workshops. So very heavily on the UC application and PIQs because it is application season. But as mentioned, there are other workshops that we want to offer, including the major versus career one, and then other ones as well. We're also going to be hosting a virtual campus tour. So stay tuned for that. You know, ideally we would all come to the UCLA campus, but I know transportation challenges and, you know, health concerns and things like that. So we still really want to be mindful and continue keeping our community safe. So for now, most of our work will be done virtually. So we will be doing like a live stream virtual campus. So super excited about that. And again, come to us for any info or resources. We also try to be active on our social media. So if you do have Instagram, we do have an Instagram account. Make sure to follow us. We share a lot of resources on there, a lot of information. So CCP_ELAC, that's the place to reach us. Again, if you, and I highly encourage you to do this, to join CCP. If you fill out this contact form, I will give you credit for today's workshop. I will make sure, like if you apply, I will look up your name in the system. If you have any like questions or need any additional support, please contact me, particularly if you are interested in joining CCP, just to make sure that we have all the things that we need. Again, I think the sooner the better, so that you actually apply the information about transferring and how to transfer and how to be successful as you're going through this journey, right? So that you're implementing that as you're working on your ed plans, as you're making your time at ELAC, kind of you're making the best of it, right? So it's never too early to join CCP. Again, you're already doing freshman, sophomore level work while at ELAC, so please connect with us so that we can support you. And that is all. Here's their contact info if you want to take a picture. I'll be stopping my screen sharing soon so that I can see y'all and take all your questions, comments, concerns, complaints, all of that. Okay. So I think we have some questions in the chat. And actually, before we do that, I think Paola's joined us. So as I'm going through the questions, if you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Yes, of course, Chelly. Okay, hi everybody. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Paola. I'm a second-year transfer at UCLA. My major is microbiology, immunology, and molecular genetics, or short for MIMG, and I'm a public health minor. And I was an ELAC transfer as well, so I'm so happy to be here with you all. And prior to transferring, I was a CCCP scholar for 2 years. And then, you know, when I transferred to UCLA, I became an advisor. So it's that full circle. Like we said, if everyone transfers to UCLA, we really do want you to do work for us and help out community college students. You know, that's what it's all about. And I'll just briefly talk about my like transfer academic journey. Like I said, I did go to ELAC. I was there for 3 years, and did participate in a few programs. I was mostly part of MESA, CCCP, of course, and then I was part of the honors program, but I did not complete the honors program. I know there's like a question in the chat talking about for how long do we need to be in the honors program to be in the benefits of TAP. So I believe for ELAC, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but you do need to complete 5 honors courses in order to be eligible for the Transfer Alliance program at UCLA. And I think in order to get into the program, if you're a continuing student, you need at least a 3.0, complete at least 12 units, and take English 101. And if you're a new student, if you just start at ELAC, I think you need at least a 3.0 in high school GPA, correct? Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I remember when I was at ELAC, I really didn't think I didn't have it in me to transfer, do anything. I remember I started at ELAC just kind of to take classes, just to be away from home sometimes because it was super overwhelming. And then I got introduced to CCCP, and they like introduced me to the transfer world. And I just became so motivated hearing from all the other transfer students. And I remember I really struggled with how I was a leader because I felt like I wasn't doing anything, because I had it in my head that in order to be a leader, you needed to, be president of a club, you have to have a really high position in whatever it may be. And then when I joined CCCP, I realized that it's more so just taking initiative of your own life and your academic journey. And I really applaud you all for being here today, because that's exactly what you're all doing. And CCCP is really rooted in that community cultural wealth. So that's where I started to see that I do have all of these assets that are super beneficial. And universities are always talking about how we're so diverse, you need to come here. And I just really want to say that that diversity that they're always bragging about is largely due to transfer students. So y'all are such an important part of this. And I know I wouldn't have been able to do it if it wasn't for CCCP. So I really encourage you all to join. We love all the schools in, the LA district, and of course, PCC as well. But we have so much love for ELAC. Y'all don't even know. Just a little, because I transferred from ELAC. We love y'all so much. So hopefully you all join. Like Chelly said, you do get that credit. So it's super easy application process. If you all need help with the application process, you can send us an email. We'll meet with you. You could stop by our drop-in hours. We'll make time for you, because we really want you all to join and transfer and really find that confidence that you need to be able to get to the position where I am, because I was literally all in your footsteps just like last year. I transferred in fall 2020. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say. I also want to say, does anybody I know I had financial concerns as well, and then CCCP introduced me to the Blue and Gold plan. So I do want to say, if anyone's concerned about that, I did get the Blue and Gold plan, just filled out my FAFSA. I have not had to pay my tuition at all. And my first year, I did live in university apartment, and I didn't have to pay like almost nothing out of pocket. I think I probably paid maybe like $200 out of pocket. So I've really had to pay for almost nothing. Just wanted to put that out there if anyone was concerned about that. And I also want to say, as far as books go, you can find them online. Don't buy them. I'm serious. Like, I haven't had to pay at all for books. I think I had to pay like $20 for like a lab manual, because the professors, they made it, they make us get those. But besides that, textbooks, yeah, they're all online, trust me. So just wanted to put that out there in case anybody had any financial concerns. And yeah, if you have any questions, even though, I don't know, is anybody here a STEM major? No, that's okay.
No, there was a couple of bios and engineers.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say, peer advisors are like pretty well versed in all the colleges at UCLA, or any like department at any UCs or schools. So even if we don't have similar majors, we can definitely still help you, or we could connect you to people who do have the same major as you. So regardless, if you're in CCCP, you're gonna get well taken care of. And thank you.
Thank you, Paula. And if anyone has any questions for Paula, current UCLA undergrad, former Husky, again, we're here for that. I did see a question in the chat about working full time and going to university. So that is a question we often get. And so the universities, once you transfer, really want you to be a full-time student. And so that, you know, can be very challenging for students that need to maybe maintain a full-time job. So just being aware that most of the courses happen in the day, like during the daytime. So I know that at community college, you may have other opportunities to maybe do evening courses and things like that. Now, kind of where we are in the pandemic, more things are being in person. So you might be expected to be in person and not have as many remote options as we've had this last couple of years. But the expectation is that you go to school full time, and hopefully your employer can work around that. So in terms of UCs, it's a little bit more challenging. I have seen it be done. So again, nothing is impossible, but it is super challenging. And we understand that in an ideal world, you will just go to class and focus on your academics and not have to worry about maybe other responsibilities that you have financially or with your family. But we know that that's not the case for everyone, right? And so we understand that you need to do what you need to do. Again, that's something that we want to talk about in terms of how do we get additional financial support if you need a certain financial income and have financial responsibilities and obligations. Like, how can we mitigate that so that maybe you can focus a little bit more on school and not having to work full time? Again, you work so hard to be admitted to the four-year university that you want to make sure that you maximize your time there and that you're focused on your academics and don't have like your employment impact your academic performance. So definitely something that we might need to have a deeper one-on-one conversation about and see exactly like where you're at and what your situation is. So a mixed answer. It can be done, but just know that it's going to be challenging to do that, you know, just being honest. And there is a question for Paola in terms of getting information on campus apartments for UCLA, and does Blue and Gold cover housing costs?
Okay, so Blue and Gold only covers tuition and fees. I don't think it covers room and board, but if you have a EFC of 0, they do always end up giving you extra money, and that money that they did give me covered housing. So that's how it worked for me. I was in university apartment, but there is a whole bunch of other apartments near campus that you can live on. University apartments, which are off campus, are cheaper than on campus, but it just depends on what experience do you want. It's like, do you want to be on campus and, you know, experience the food halls, or like me, do you like cooking and you need a kitchen and, you know, you want a little bit of a bigger space? But I would say I definitely did have, I was able to pay most of it with the money that they gave me, and of course from work. So hopefully it is the same for you. And I would also say that once you get accepted to UCLA, you do have to put in your SIR, and then you could fill out the housing application. So yeah, that's how it is. I can also link the website if you want to see them. But I also want to say I was like in the cheapest university housing, so it was still a good opportunity though. So yeah.
Yeah, and
I
kind of
believe.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just want to say we had to make 3 payments in the summer before we moved in. One of them was $3,000, which was a big payment, but I did get that back for financial aid. And then the rest were like 150. And then every 3 months I had to pay like 1,099. But you do get your disbursement before every single quarter. So that's how I was able to afford it. And then all the money that I got from my work, that's like what I use for spending money.
Yeah, and I wanted to kind of go back to that slide where I showed like the income, like the lesser the income, the higher aid that you might be eligible for. So again, this is something that you want to make sure that you connect with financial aid at your campus to see where you're at, understand financial aid at the four-year university, and know that there are resources. And going back to kind of like, if your income changes, right? So let's say right now you are working full-time and you have a certain income and that is going to change once you transfer, then you want to make sure that you connect and do an appeal and submit a change in income form for that campus so that your financial aid is awarded to your current situation, not based on previous year's income, right? So that's something that you might want to consider and be mindful of, keeping in mind that the less income you have, the more aid you're eligible for. So if you might need to change your income to be eligible for, we'll talk. Let's just say we'll talk. There's different conversations to be had. Just knowing what it is and think of it as chess. What are the chess pieces? What's, how do I maneuver this? How do I navigate it? In Spanish, que me conviene? What's best for me? How can I make this work? But we're here to kind of support you with that. Any other questions, comments? These are good questions, by the way.
Yeah, a quick question. I know for EOPS students, just in case you guys are wondering, you guys do get 4 free applications for free paid for at the Cal State and the UC level. So definitely choose wisely. You have UCLA as your one choice, Irvine, Riverside, or the local UCs. But then you also have UC San Diego if you want to travel down south. We also have Central with UC Merced, UC Santa Cruz, Bay Area, UC Berkeley, UC Davis. So definitely there's a lot of universities out there for you guys to check out, and feel free to take advantage of even doing a campus tour. See if you guys could do a campus tour or even a virtual campus tour, just to kind of check out the services and the program student services that they have for UCLA and some of the other campuses.
Yes, definitely.
I do want to say that when you're applying to the UC application, they do ask you, I believe, for income. It's not for financial aid purposes, but it's to see if you qualify for that waiver. And I qualified, and because of that, I was able to apply to, I believe, 8 out of 9 UCs, right, Charlie? There's 9. Yeah, so I was able to apply to a lot of them. So definitely take advantage of that, apply broadly. So yeah, and also Cal States as well. Yes, definitely. And don't be afraid, because I know like sometimes you think like, oh, like, it's like super stressful to fill out FAFSA, but this is not for those purposes. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there.
Yes, thank you.
No, definitely. Another word of advice, I think Paolo and Shelly could speak to this also, is feel free to make an appointment at the transfer center with the university rep, and also getting communication with the department of the university at UCLA that you're trying to transfer into, and see if you could schedule a meeting just to see if you could go over your transcripts, see if you could go over your classes that you've taken, just to make sure that you guys are on the right track, to make sure that you guys are going in for the major that you guys want to transfer into.
Yes, that's something I really encourage all of you to do, is to look at the departmental website for the different majors, because different institutions, different campuses, I call it flavor. They have a different flavor. So poli-sci at UCLA, is different than maybe poli-sci at UCSB or San Diego State, right? And so really explore the different departments, explore the faculty. Again, the more information you have, you can utilize that information to make better informed decisions. and really figure out which campus is going to be like a good fit for you. So super important.
Yes, I just want to say I'm so happy that y'all talked about that, because I really want to say this. I really, really recommend that you go on the departmental website of the school that you want to transfer to and look at the upper div courses you have to take for that major. Read the description and also search up who teaches those courses. And I know it's like, of course, you know, you're gonna take the class because you're interested, but we also want to keep that GPA up, right? We want to see like what grades are these students getting, because even if the class or the course is super interesting, you know, if you want to go to grad school, you want to make sure you do have that good GPA. It's something that I didn't think about at all until I transferred to UCLA. I did kind of briefly look at it before I transferred because I used to be a neuroscience major, and then I saw that I had to take a neurophysics class. So I was like, no. And I switched my major real quick. So yeah, I would say definitely look at that. And also definitely utilize assist, but also get in contact with the undergraduate student advisor of that school that you want to go to and talk about, set up a meeting with them. You definitely could, even as a as a community college student, and talk about kind of like requirements as well. Because I know for my major, they did not list biochemistry on assist, but they accepted biochemistry from ELAC in particular. So, you know, those are just extra credits that I could have gotten. So just something to be aware of, definitely. And try and complete all of your major prereqs, even the recommended courses, because you'll be more competitive. You'll be able to you'll have a higher chance of getting in. But also once you transfer, you could just focus on your upper divs and you'll be able to possibly minor, double minor, even double major, or you could just focus on, you know, doing more extracurriculars. So it's definitely something that I think y'all should really take into account. I know you kind of just want to transfer at a point, but kind of think strategically and into the future to help your transfer process once you're here at a UC or Cal State, wherever you go, to make it an easier journey.
Yes, thank you for
And
sharing that.
another thing also, talking about housing, just to kind of, also for those that have families, keep in mind there is family housing on campus. So some UC, most UCs and some Cal States actually do offer family housing for students. So that's something that you guys are struggling with in terms of moving your family, moving your kids, and over to a new location. Keep in mind that they actually do offer family housing as well for you guys.
Yes, and at UCLA, there's also a parenting student grant. So there are certain like financial opportunities for students and resources. At UCLA, we also have a students with dependents office that works in supporting parenting students. We also have the undocumented student programs office that works with our undocumented student population. We have resources for formerly incarcerated, system impacted students, resources for former foster youth, resources for transfer students. We have a transfer center on the campus. We're like super resource, right? Like sometimes it's like overwhelming, but these are all really meant to support you. So it's just knowing about what's available, like how to utilize that resource, how to connect with it. And it's something that I encourage you, again, to start doing now while at ELAC, because although most of ELAC is still virtual, some hybrid, there's tons of resources at ELAC. Like ELAC alone has tons of programs and resources. And once you kind of get tapped into that, then that connects you to more resources, more people, more networks. And it just, all these things are really meant to just help you make you successful, right? You just gotta show up, you gotta tap in and get connected. So again, whichever your needs are, and that's something to also consider when you're looking at campuses, like what are your needs? Like as a student, as a person, I need these certain things for my life. I need these certain things to be successful. And identifying the campus that has those resources that are going to particularly support you, right? We have a program that's called First to Go that supports first gen students, right? We have AAP, the Academic Advancement Program, which CCP is housed under, that has a, you know, many of the resources similar as EOPS on your campus, like additional counseling, peer counselors, We have graduate mentoring programs that kind of get your feet wet with research or get you like fully into research. We have peer learning facilitators. So not tutoring, not supplemental instruction, but facilitators that are your peers that help you with your coursework. Again, yeah, like tons and tons of like resources. In terms of student orgs, there's again over 1,000 student orgs. It just takes like 4 people to create an org. So if there isn't something that's existing, it applies. In terms of housing, we also have transfer themed housing. So there at UCLA, there's been like a long legacy of activism on transfer students, right? So we have STOMP, we have transfer themed housing now. We have a transfer rep that sits on student government, USAC, which was huge, right? So there's tons of support. There's a big transfer community at UCLA, and there's a lot of like resources for you. And there's a question about which program for the CCP application. So for that, you want to make sure that you hit Site Light. For the date, it's going to be the August 31st to December 31st. Again, it's kind of open-ended for the fall term. And then it'll allow you to move forward in the application. If it asks you for a profile ID, just send us an email. I'll put my email again in the chat, and so you can contact me directly. And I know that I might owe a couple y'all emails, but we've been in training for the last 5 days. So just give me your patience as I work through my inbox. I'll also put the general CCCP email. So again, there's various ways to connect with us. I think for us, the biggest message is making sure that ELAC students know that CCP is still here, that although we're virtual and we're remote, that there's multiple ways to reach us. And that we're here to support you. We're here to connect with you. You know, I'm trying to look at opportunities to come on the campus. So you may, if you have an in-person class, you might see us pop in. We really miss ELAC. We miss ELAC students. We encourage you to please engage with us. Please stop by our office hours. Please reach out. I know everyone's like overwhelmed, and you know, the technology fatigue is real, and there's still a lot of responsibilities that y'all are managing. But I also, you know, want to encourage you to tap into the transfer resources and connect with us. So make sure that you also put that on your planner, on your list of things to do, to connect with us, because, you know, we miss y'all and we're here to really just support you.
No, definitely. So thank you guys. Thank you, Shelly. Thank you, Paula. I know it's about the time already. I know we're kind of about to wrap up already, but thank you so much again for the assistance and for the help. You guys are the best. Paula, congratulations again to transferring to UCLA, and hopefully, you know, you're able to continue into med school, or you're gonna be a pre-med student, or you're gonna go into public administration, public health. We wish you the best, and feel free to always come and contact us and connect with us here at EOPNS. And we'd be more than happy to host you to kind of have you share your story with our ELAC students and our EOPS students, so they could see your inspirational story and hear about you. Paula and Shelly, once again, thank you once again for everything that you do. And like I said, guys, if you guys have any questions for Paula or for Shelly, please do on the email, write down their email, CCCP email, Site Light, definitely apply. And if there's any programs out there, there's a lot. And I mean a lot. As you see Shelly, she just couldn't stop talking about all the programs that there's out there for you guys. And keep in mind, some of these programs are free. So there's a slogan that we kind of picked up here. If it's free, it's for me. So definitely go and get all the programs, all their services, and get everything that you guys need. Okay. So if you guys need any questions or any follow-up questions, please, by all means, you could email myself. You could email my colleague Stephanie, Paula and Shelly. So if you guys have any questions, you guys could definitely come and feel free to ask us anything you guys need, and we're here to help you guys. Okay.
And thank you so much for inviting us today and allowing us to share space with y'all and present to y'all. So thank you.
No, thank you. And then for the recording, we're actually going to post it on our YouTube. So we're trying to get that in. It's just taking a little bit of time for the YouTube to actually upload, but we're definitely hoping to have this all posted on our website pretty soon. Okay. So thank you guys again.
Let's go
If you guys don't have
viral.
any other questions, by all means, thank you guys, and have a wonderful day. And again, keep in mind, UC applications are already open. Cal State applications open up in a couple of weeks, and we're actually having a Cal State or application workshop in a couple of weeks already with the transfer center. So if you guys are interested in learning how to apply to Cal State, you have that available. Tomorrow we actually are going to have how to apply to UC Davis with UC Davis reps. If you guys are thinking about going up north to North County, California, definitely come by tomorrow and ask us for the link, and we'll send out the link again for you guys. And even though you guys are not interested in UC Davis, it's just another great resource for you guys to get more information. So for anybody else that you guys think, to family, siblings, cuñados, neighbors, anybody in your community that's interested, please share this information with them and have these links available for them. Okay. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Bye. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Paula. Appreciate it.